Likely you're watching this video because you got a score already through EcoVadis for your company's sustainability and you want to improve it or you're not happy with it. So while this video won't tell you how to get 100%, we surely can tell you a couple of ideas or tips to bump up your score for next time. Okay, let's go. Just a quick slide about who we are. We're ThisRock. We actually did our own EcoVadis questionnaire this year and we scored in the top 1% for our type of consulting company. We also became an Approved EcoVadis Training Partner this year. Okay, so let's figure out how to improve your score. So how does this thing work? Well, I always ask clients to log into EcoVadis right when we meet with them and ask them which of the key areas has EcoVadis exposed for them. So there are 4. It's environment, ethics, labor and human rights, and sustainable procurement. Depending on your size, they may have turned off sustainable procurement at the beginning. So the questions will be around, do you have a policy on these main areas? Does it cover the key issues of sustainability that they think is relevant to your size, industry, and location? Do you have reporting? Are you reporting on some of the data for a baseline year? And what are the measures or actions that your company has taken against those 4 or 3 main areas? So once you fill this out, and it does take a little bit of time, it's a bit time consuming, then it takes about 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes 9 weeks for an EcoVadis analyst to look at all the things you uploaded. And then they'll send you back your score. So that's what we're talking about today, boosting our score. So right now, in order to achieve platinum, you need to be in the top 1% of your size, industry, and location. And you can see that it flows down from there. So if you're in a very competitive, very sustainable industry, it might be tougher to score that top badge. This has been a pretty fun video because I'm pretending that I'm speaking to one of our clients and walking through the 5 things I would tell them to do in order to move their score up in certain areas. So here comes 5 actionable tips and best practices. Tip 1, log into EcoVadis and see what issues they deem are core to your business. I already talked about this. So when you log in, you'll click on your scorecard and it will show something like top right over here. It'll say, environment matters, labor and human rights, ethics, sustainable procurement. And just below, you can see that they're flagging medium or high impact on score or low impact on score. That's very helpful for you because definitely focus on the ones that are high impact first, because those are going to get you the most amount of points. Just below that chart, you can see the breakdown of policy weight, endorsements, measures, certifications, coverage, reporting, and the 360 watch. So I'll go through those very fast. So if you're, for example, labor and human rights high, as you can see the second column in that chart below. So policies are rated high for you. So make sure you have a good policy that covers the quantitative and qualitative commitments of the core issues in labor and human rights that EcoVadis deems important. Likely your company is already doing this. Maybe there's a couple of tweaks you need to make to move on. Second is endorsements. A lot of companies don't have this. As you can tell, it's low impact. As you move down your journey of sustainability, your company will likely pick up some of these endorsements. Then measures. Measures is high impact on labor and human rights. So make sure you can put in 3 or 4 measures or actions your company is taking for the core issues deemed in the policy section. See, it gets a little confusing. Then if you have any certifications, this could be ISO certifications, for example. And then coverage, if your company is large, then they want to see that you're talking about every single location and every single employee. So if you have 200 locations, are you training everybody on sustainability or just one office? And finally, reporting. And you can imagine what reporting is. Reporting on your greenhouse gas emissions, report for labor and human rights. It's incidents of child labor, for example. It could be diversity stats for a baseline year. And 360 watch is out of your control, but it's really a look at your company and your industry, and EcoVadis gives you a score on that. So my 3 tips is, what is high value? Do that first. Number 2 is, if you've already done an EcoVadis submission, hop into EcoVadis and see where you got dinged or where they didn't like what you uploaded, maybe because you were missing a logo or the date, or your policy was too new, or maybe your action was too old, and so on. And then my 3rd is see the corrective actions. There's a tab in EcoVadis called corrective actions. I would toggle that and just sort by high value, maybe medium value, and then focus your attention there. So the second thing I do with clients is eyeball the policies. So again, there are potentially 4 policies you need to look at. So in the last example, we saw that labor and human rights for this one sample company is high. So go and look at your labor and human rights policy. Maybe for your company, it's called the employee manual, which is fine. So you want to look in there and make sure that there's sections that EcoVadis thinks is important. So as you can see, I took a screenshot of an example company. So in this case, under labor and human rights, you want to have a policy that talks about employee health and safety, working conditions, social dialogue, career management and training, child labor, forced labor, human trafficking, and DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion. So maybe your policy today talks about all but one. So now's your opportunity to update your policy and make sure it covers those main things. And what are they looking for? They want to see there's a commitment made. It could be quantitative, qualitative, but to score the most points, you want to make sure you have both inside your policy. And just below, you can see some examples. So this, you could be uploading your employee health and safety policy, maybe the employee health and safety manual, maybe just an annual sustainability report. It could be called the code of conduct. Oftentimes, I see it called the labor and human rights policy. But as you can see, the name of the game is to try to come up with a quantitative and qualitative comment or commitment for each of the sustainability issues above. Number 3, collect your measures. Now, people get confused. Measures sounds like numbers, but it is not. It means actions. So a perfect example of a measure would be training employees on a given issue. Like, for example, what actions are in place to reduce energy consumption and the emissions of greenhouse gas emissions? Number 1, do you train your employees on energy conservation? So if you don't, but you have a couple of months before your next EcoVadis submission is due, now's a perfect time to find a good training on energy conservation. Throw it out to all your employees, make sure they watch it, and then you can upload that training deck and proof that they did it into EcoVadis, for example. So remember, measures for EcoVadis are actions a company takes to improve sustainability in areas like the environment, labor practices, ethics, and procurement. So the game plan is if you can get 3 or 4 per issue that they deem is important for your company, then you can get a great score. My 5th tip is all about bonus items. So an idea would be take a look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You can go and Google that right now. There are 17 goals. So what I recommend is try to align your company to 3 or 5 that make sense. So for example, one of them is climate action, and one of them is gender equity. And one of them is making sure people are fed, and one is life below water. So there's 17. So pick the ones that matter to your business. If you can align your business to it, this is something you can upload for points. It's also very valuable for all your stakeholders at your company. The second is to think about creating your first sustainability report or create another sustainability report, a follow-up to the last one that you created. This is a way that you can cut down on document count. In EcoVadis, you're only allowed to upload 55 documents total. So as you can tell, I mean, it's a pretty big submission. So if you're able to put a few things in a sustainability report, then you can upload that document and cite it to several different questions. And the third is have somebody do a materiality assessment. Have a consultant come in and look at a business like yours. What should they be looking at, or what is a material issue for a company like yours? Having a materiality assessment done can really help your score and also just help your company do better in sustainability. It's important that you can always raise your score or bump it a little bit. The badges may change or the medals may change over time. It's just likely to happen, but make sure your score is getting better and better because your competitors are going to start catching up. Plus, you definitely don't want to lose any revenue by not winning new deals or not maintaining your current customers. I found this the most helpful. So here it comes. 4 takeaways for EcoVadis scoring principles. 1, evidence-based. This scoring is based on documented evidence like your policies, certifications, not just declarations. So you have to make sure you're putting in the right stuff that's real because they can sniff it out if it's not real. 2 is industry size, location matter. So they're taking a look to make sure that if your company is very small and there's not many competitors, they're definitely taking that into consideration. If you're a huge company, lots of locations, very big, and you have lots of competitors that are doing a lot in sustainability, it's definitely going to be more challenging. 3 is transparency and traceability. So every single document used in the scoring process is traceable and companies have access to detailed results and decisions. And 4 is continuously improving. So You get a good score your first year, you can't just do this and see you later. You have to keep continuously updating, continuously improving. It's important to have a good score, a score you're proud of, especially for your sales team, for your employees. Think about if you're an employee and you work for a company with an increasingly good EcoVadis rating. That's got to make you feel like your company's thinking 50 years ahead and not just about the bottom line profits. Although being sustainable is good for business because you're increasing revenue, hopefully getting new clients, keeping clients, and decreasing expenses by getting more efficient with water usage, for example. So I mentioned the sales team. EcoVadis is always important to the sales team. When you think about a big customer coming to your company and asking for your EcoVadis rating, that can be really tense and scary if you have never done EcoVadis before. You don't want to lose that revenue. So making sure that the sales team has a good badge to showcase, a great sustainability report, an ever increasing score, this is going to help differentiate you from the competition. So thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you've never done EcoVadis before, then definitely go get yourself an account, log in. If a big customer is asking, figure out when this is due and what is the minimum requirement from their company. If you've done EcoVadis before and you don't like your score, I hope these tips were helpful. Feel free to reach out to us anytime at ThisRock, and we'd love to have a 15-minute conversation about how we might be able to help boost your score. All right, have a great week, and thanks again for watching.